Alright, and welcome to today's Wednesday Weekly World News. I am Geordie Prepper and I'm covering some articles and relating them to preparedness. So first of all, we see that China is set to launch an unhackable internet communication network, and they're doing tests in the city of Jinan. This is regarding quantum computing. So quantum computing is touted as being the next big thing. It's basically going to be able to allegedly be unhackable. So China is setting up a test run in this city, and they're setting up the communications of this type well ahead of anybody in the West. Many reasons for this. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of aggression towards China and Russia. I think this is probably a means of protecting themselves, because in a state of war with someone, you don't want someone intercepting your communications. And we can relate this to prepping as well, operational security. You don't want people to know too much about your preps, who you are, your location, etc., because it leaves you vulnerable. So very interesting, something definitely to keep an eye on, but certainly think about your own communications. Think about, do you actually know how to communicate with people over radio, internet? Do it as secure as you possibly can be right now. And continuing with the beast, mark of the beast, microchip in everyone, we can see that this agenda is continuing. There's a Wisconsin company offering to microchip its employees. The company is called 3 Square Market. Just absolutely ridiculous. This is a company whose name has, the numbers that our enemy likes to use, using the number 3 and the number 2. So this company is offering to microchip its employees. They're basically saying that it's going to be using the same near-field communication technology employed in contactless payments like Apple Pay, and they're also offering its workers a wristband if you don't want to take the chip. This is more furthering of this agenda to microchip everyone. It's something that we have to actively fight. It just simply ties you to a system, ties you even further to a system which is just simply there to track you, monitor you, and cut you off if you don't do what you're told. And it's been reported here by RT that 150 jihadists and criminals have been stripped of their citizenship in a major clampdown on extremism. The important question that we should all be asking ourselves, though, is why are people that have no respect at all for our laws, customs and traditions being brought into a country and given citizenship in the first place, when time and time again we see on the news outlets that they're known to security forces, they're known that they're going to potentially cause a problem, which then ultimately they do, and then their only answer is to strip them of citizenship. And that's really closing the gate once the horse is bolted. I've used that expression again before, but why are these people being brought into the country? I mean, obviously I know the reason why. This is part of the problem, reaction, solution agenda which our enemy likes to use. What I like to ask people is think about it. Think about what's happening to your country, and have a look at all the division. Why are certain people in your country protected, and yet other people are allowed to commit such atrocities against the native inhabitants of a country? So just think about that, and think about what you're going to do about it, because one day you might be called to do something about it, or you might feel motivated enough to do something, whether you choose to do that alone, whether you choose to do it in a group, and whether we choose to do it all together. United is something that I hope will happen, but again, you've got to be ready for it, you've got to be prepared for it. And this is why I always say on my channel, your physical fitness is your number one prep. And finally, an article on a novel technique using graphene to create solar cells. So this is quite a long article really, but it's well worth a read. But I'll just keep it brief about it. It's basically saying that Imagine in which solar cells are all around us on windows and walls, cell phones, laptops and more. And they've basically been looking into a new flexible, transparent solar cell. Well worth keeping an eye on these developments with solar cells, because as preppers and homesteaders, electricity independence is something that I really want to strive for. Thanks a lot for joining me on today's Wednesday Weekly World News. I'll see you next week. Be safe and be prepared. This is Geordie Prepper, and I'll see you next time.